too? Because I just feel like static music.
Wait, time remnants. Sorry.
Oh, is that music?
I had time remnants.
Oh, time remnants. Okay.
Dude, we've killed them. We've killed all the time remnants dead, like Barry should have done. Oh,
yeah. How come Barry didn't kill that time remnant that survived?
Maybe he tried. We don't know where that scar came from.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. All right. Guardians of the Galaxy. You ready?
It was really good. All right, cool. Let's see you next week.
How do we start panel to screen?
We don't even have, we have show notes, but like.
There's no show notes for this. It's panel to screen. I mean, it's phoning it in. It's senioritis in podcast form.
Yeah, podcastitis.
Panel to screen. It makes no money, and it has the worst ratings.
Does it really?
Well, I mean, in all fairness, like I just had a show featured in the Huffington Post. Like,
oh, that's the Token
no,
Talk?
Truth Table.
Truth Table.
Now, Token Talk is not one of my shows, but we hosted them in the studio for a live. Ooh, which reminds me, our mayor, the soon-to-be mayor of our fair town here, reached out to me after the Token Talk podcast, and he wanted to do an event in my studio.
Really?
Yeah. So Let's Talk Jackson, season 4, first episode back will be with our soon-to-be mayor, and I will be interviewing him, and we will sell tickets, and that's awesome. It's gonna be pretty cool.
You know what was crazy is I was really confused for a minute because the former mayor of Jackson, Shockway Lamamba.
Well,
he
we got a former mayor, a current mayor, and a soon-to-be mayor. So yes, from that standpoint, yes, Shockway Lamamba.
Shockway. I don't pronounce it correctly. I had heard that he had died.
He did. Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that it was his son who won the race again. And I was like, what is going on? Like, did he come back from the dead to become like the Lich King of Jackson?
Too soon. Way too soon. Shockway was a very, very short-lived mayor. Because I mean, he did die in office very, very quickly. He had a very difficult, he ran a very difficult race. I mean, it was a brutal campaign that was kind of...
Who did he run against? Was it Harvey Johnson?
It wasn't Harvey Johnson. I can't remember the name of the guy that ran against him off the top of my head, but there was a huge smear campaign that was against him, and it was very rough, and it was funny. Well, not even funny. It was just... the reality was after he won, he actually... he did some fantastic things in a very short amount of time, and he also, he put to... he silenced his naysayers pretty early on. Like, all of this fear-mongering campaign, was silenced pretty immediately based on who he was as a mayor. And he did a great job. He did die in office. It was very sad. Second mayor to die in office, by the way, in our lifetime. Right. Like that. I was going to say Frank Melton also died in office. Man, that's a whole nother story, but one way or the other. Yeah. So Shockway, the Shockway Senior died in office. There was a special election. Mayor Yarber, who's our current mayor, was elected as part of that special election. And I actually interviewed him for Let's Talk Jackson a long time ago, sometime last year, early last year, which was great. I was like, hey, the mayor actually came into my studio and interviewed. Now we've got the new mayor coming in, who just won a runoff against the existing mayor. We had 10 candidates, 5 main candidates, but Shockway Jr., who is the son of the previous mayor who died in office, won by 55%. He had 55% of the vote against and he was one of 5 front runners in a group of 10. It's insane. It's the biggest landslide, if I'm not mistaken, that we've had in a very long time. And so, anyway, so there's still the general election, which comes up, but I mean, at this point, it's just a formality. But anyway, so that's coming up on the 8th, and so we are trying to schedule the event on the 6th. And so,
okay.
Not that I'm choosing sides, mind you. If the person running against him wanted to also reach out to me to have an event at our studio, I would not say no. I'm just saying that Shockway did, and I am more than happy to offer the studio for him. So
you know, it's funny though, because like I actually remember hearing about some of the smear campaign that went against Shokway's father, and
it was brutal, man. And he was a good man, and like anyway, go ahead.
Well, you know, and then the thing that was unfortunate about it is I never heard any of the positive stuff that came afterwards, because as soon as those detractors were silenced, obviously they're not going to like say anything about.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so the only thing that was like, until you told me that, I had no idea. I just assumed that, like, you know, his run was poor, and you know, based off that kind of stuff. But like that's a shame, you know, that
it was so
all the stuff that he
frustrating.
did do that was good just gets, you know,
I remember
inundated by all the garbage.
I remember very specifically before that election, getting phone calls from like local family members and such saying like, you have to vote against this man. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I mean, I wasn't, you know, I was still relatively new back in Jackson. I wasn't as plugged in and everything else. So I was like, well, let me look into it. Cause I don't, just cause when someone tells me to do something, it's a pretty good indication that I need to.
Shouldn't.
Well, you know, I'm very much like, you have to do this.
Politically, if somebody tells you shouldn't do something, then you should absolutely do it.
Dude, I have this knee-jerk reaction. Whenever anybody tells me you have to do something, my immediate response is, I don't have to do anything. Like,
yeah.
And so like, let me look into it and see what's up, but never tell me that I have to do something, because that's a pretty quick way to get on my bad side early on. So anyway, people were calling me up saying you have to vote against this guy. I'm like, all right, well, let me look into it. So look into it. It's like, all right, so you're mad about some views that he had 30 years ago, but like his entire political career is really not bad at all. And honestly, he's got the plan that he's laying out for the city is pretty solid. I don't see a good reason to vote against this guy. I'll be perfectly honest, Bell. I didn't vote in that election one way or the other.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, again, I was very new into the city. I didn't feel as informed and everything else, and I didn't feel as connected. Now, this election I did, and I'll go ahead and say it right here and now. I voted for his son, and I was happy to do it. I went back and forth. I had two different candidates in my mind, and it was kind of one of these things. I didn't feel as like passionately either way per se, and my concern with Shokway Jr. is that he doesn't have much experience. I mean, he's a young guy. He's my age. And that's always, you know, when you start voting for elected officials that are your own age, then it's kind of like, wait now.
It's like, what am I doing with my life?
No, I feel pretty comfortable with what I'm doing with my life, but I also know how little I know. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those deals where experience suddenly becomes relevant.
Yeah, like I watch a lot of hockey, and so I see all these like, you know, these kids, these little kids that are playing hockey, and I'm like, I'm 33 this year, and why didn't I ever do anything? There's still time though, you know. There's still
plenty of time. But that's the thing. So my only concern with Shokway Jr. was that I was concerned just cards on the table. I was concerned going into this election that he did not, you know, that this was kind of like a legacy thing and everything else, and that he didn't have the experience. Like his father had a textbook of experience. He's you know, and I mean, say what you will about his father, but I mean, like the man had insane experience in terms of, you know, being in kind of the public eye and from a political standpoint as well. But you know, his son not as much, and he's a lawyer and everything else. What it came down to was two factors. One is integrity, in which the other candidate that I was considering had very little of. And then the other factor was that he's been able to inspire young Jacksonians into taking ownership of their city and like getting involved. And like that's the thing. Like he had a very like active and aggressive kind of youth campaign that really resonated with you know, with a lot of like the high school and college age students of Jackson, which is crucial, man. Like we need people to stay in town. And so
absolutely.
Those two things were kind of like, you know, that was when it came down to, you know, casting my ballot, those were the two reasons I was like, you know what? He's got enough experienced people around him. There's enough people, there's enough equity in his father's legacy and his name that a lot of people want to see him succeed. So he's got the experience surrounded him. So, you know, anyway, I voted for him in the general election. I will gladly vote for him again. And I look forward to hopefully having him in my studio for an upcoming event, which is kind of cool.
Welcome to Jackson Politics Talk.
I know, right? That's the shenanigans for this week. Jackson local politics.
Yeah.
Nobody else will appreciate that, but who knows, man? In the midst of, in the midst of all this, man, like I'm ready to be done with this electoral cycle in our local community because I really want to be done with politics. I would love not to see political issues trending on Twitter constantly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I can't even go to Twitter. Like it was hilarious. I was watching something on YouTube when the Flash episode came on last night. And normally what happens, like I'll be scrolling through and I'll start seeing, get ready, it's the Flash. I'm like, oh, okay, let me turn it on my TV. There was so much political stuff that I missed the first 10 minutes of the episode. I had to go watch my DVR'd version of it because there's so much political stuff was drowning out my Flash tweets.
That's the thing. I even tweeted it last night, right after live tweeting the episode. I'm sitting here and I'm like, contemplating my deep emotional complexities of this episode and how I both loved moments in it and hated it as an overall episode. And like, as I'm dealing with these quote, deep, serious issues, the FBI director is fired in the midst of investigation of treason on the president. It's like, holy no.
Like, what is going on?
It's just, you can't even, it's so difficult to focus because of kind of the national political existence that we seem perpetually in. So
yeah, can Barry at least come and, I don't know, like fix this timeline?
We're in Doom World. We're in Doom World. We saw it, man. We know how that goes. Not to upset you if you're listening and you're on one political persuasion or the other. It's just one way or the other, you have to acknowledge the fact there was not as much politics trending on Twitter. If nothing else, we can agree on this.
Yeah. Like,
this is an era in which Twitter has played way too heavily of a role into our political system here in the United States.
Yes.
All right. Guardians of the Galaxy. Ready for this?
Let's do it.